He stole $4.5 billion from an entire country. But first, he had to fool a prime minister. And it all started with a single lie on a rented yacht. A young Malaysian man walks onto a luxury yacht, surrounded by princes, heirs, and the children of the ultra-rich. Everyone assumes he owns the yacht. Everyone thinks he's one of them. He isn't. The yacht is rented. He's not a billionaire, just a middle-class kid from Penang who learned to look like money. But this single act of pretending would open the door to Malaysia's most powerful family and unleash the biggest financial scandal the world has ever seen. His name is Jho Low, and before he stole billions, he perfected the illusion that he already had them. This is how a nobody became somebody, by faking everything and fooling the entire world. He wasn't born into the world of yachts and champagne. He was born in Penang, in a quiet Chinese-Malaysian neighborhood where wealth meant modest comfort. His father, Larry Low, ran a small garment business. Not poor, but not powerful either. As a boy, Jho Low watched power from the outside. He saw who got invited, who got saluted, who got ignored. And he understood early in Malaysia, money talks. But power decides who gets to speak. By his teens, he'd already made up his mind. If the doors of power wouldn't open for him, he'd learn to look like the kind of man they opened for. At the Wharton School of Business, one of America's most prestigious business schools, he found himself surrounded by princes, oil heirs, and the children of billionaires. And somewhere among them, a Malaysian student in oversized glasses and second-hand suits. He was nobody, but he was paying attention. He watched how the rich moved, how they ordered drinks without prices, how they treated silence like a currency. And soon, he began to imitate them. He rented luxury cars for the night. He hosted parties he couldn't afford. And he let his classmates assume the Low family owned half of Penang. "My family does business with the Gulf," he'd say casually, and nobody questioned it. Because when you dress like money, talk like money, and move like money, people stop asking where it came from. By graduation, Jho wasn't just another student. He was the connector, the quiet Malaysian who somehow knew every prince, every trust fund heir, every son of a billionaire. He didn't have wealth, but he had something rarer, their trust. Back in Malaysia, his name began to circulate among people who mattered. "He knows Arab money," they whispered. "He's close with Gulf investors." It wasn't true, but it didn't have to be, because illusion had already become his greatest investment. He was coming home, not as Jho from Penang, but as Jho Low, the man who could make deals with kings. And soon, he'd meet a young man whose mother dreamed of diamonds, and whose stepfather ruled Malaysia. He wasn't buying yachts yet. He was buying belief, and that belief would lead him straight into the home of Malaysia's future prime minister. When Jho Low returned home, he carried no empire, no degree of distinction, only a list of names that sounded powerful. To Kuala Lumpur's elite, that was enough. He began selling access, introducing Malaysian businessmen to supposed investors from the Middle East. Most of the time, the introductions went nowhere, but the illusion worked. Every handshake added to the myth that Jho Low was the bridge between Malaysia and Arab money. Soon, his reputation reached the edges of political power. And that's when he met Riza Aziz, stepson of Deputy Prime Minister Najib Razak, who years later would become Prime Minister. Riza had no interest in politics. He wanted to live like the rich kids he'd seen in London, to make movies, fly private, and walk red carpets. To Jho Low, that obsession was an opportunity. He became Riza's closest friend, the man who could make Hollywood dreams come true. He flew Riza to luxury parties, introduced him to Gulf princes, and promised connections that money couldn't buy. Behind the friendship, Jho's eyes were already fixed on Riza's stepfather, Najib Razak, Malaysia's rising political star. Through Riza, Jho was invited into the family's orbit. Small dinners, private meetings, quiet trust. And when Najib became prime minister, that trust turned into influence. Najib wanted legacy. He wanted to be remembered as the leader who transformed Malaysia into a global power. And Jho Low offered him the perfect vehicle to do it. At the time, a small state fund called the Terengganu Investment Authority had just been created to manage local oil wealth. Jho saw potential, and he whispered an idea that would change everything. What if this state fund could become something bigger? A national fund, backed by Gulf investors, fronted by the government, and led by Najib himself. Najib loved it. The concept was expanded and rebranded as One Malaysia Development Berhad, 1MDB. Najib would take the credit, but behind the scenes, it was Jho Low who helped shape its first deals, its first partnerships, and its first shadows. He positioned himself where the money flowed, quietly guiding billion-dollar transactions without holding a single official title. He'd done it again, turned perception into power. Only this time, the illusion wasn't just about him. It was about a nation. And soon, Malaysia's future would belong to the man who had mastered illusion. From the moment 1MDB was born, Najib Razak believed it was his legacy. A sovereign fund that would lift Malaysia into a new age of prosperity, a symbol of modern leadership. But to Jho Low, it was something else. A blank canvas. A financial machine he could steer from the shadows. He had no official position, no government salary, not even a name on the letterhead. Yet every major deal passed through him. He presented himself as the man who could bring in billions from the Middle East. Friends in Abu Dhabi, princes in Riyadh, investors from Kuwait. They trusted him because Najib trusted him, and Najib trusted him because Rosmah did. Rosmah Mansor, the Prime Minister's wife, adored Jho Low. He was young, attentive, and spoke the language of luxury. He brought her designer handbags, rare diamonds, and the promise of a life that matched the world's elite. In return, she gave him what he wanted most: legitimacy. The royal treatment of being part of Malaysia's first family. Soon, Jho Low wasn't just advising on 1MDB's deals. He was directing them. Behind the scenes, he was wiring money through shell companies, drafting proposals, and brokering partnerships that only he understood. The first major venture, a joint deal with PetroSaudi International, looked like a masterstroke. Two nations investing together, a global partnership for development. But beneath the polished press releases, Jho had already moved hundreds of millions of dollars into accounts he secretly controlled. It was the beginning of one of the greatest financial crimes in history. And the people at the top still thought he was their ally. Najib saw headlines praising his leadership. Rosmah saw gifts arriving by the week, and Jho Low saw everything he had ever wanted: power, access, and the ability to move billions with a single phone call. He had seduced the Prime Minister, enchanted his wife, and built a system no one could see through. Real wealth doesn't come from illusion. It comes from insight. Check the link in the description for Seeking Alpha's special discount, where you can learn to build your fortune the legitimate way, not the Jho Low way. Speaking of the Jho Low way, the boy who once pretended to be rich now had finally become untouchable. But as the money poured out of Malaysia, the illusion that made him powerful was about to become the one that destroyed him. Every empire needs a queen, and Jho Low found his in Rosmah Mansor. She wasn't just the Prime Minister's wife, she was the real center of gravity inside Malaysia's corridors of power. Ministers feared her temper. Businessmen worshipped her taste, and Jho Low knew exactly how to speak her language: luxury. He gave her what no one else dared to: a sense of global importance. Private jets, Birkin bags, diamond necklaces worth millions, all delivered with the same easy smile. To Najib, Jho was still the loyal young advisor, the man bringing in investment, the genius behind Malaysia's financial miracle. To Rosmah, he was something closer, a confidant who could turn her every whim into reality. When she wanted recognition, he arranged charity galas in her honor. When she wanted prestige, he sat her beside royalty at dinners abroad. And when she wanted silence, he made problems disappear. Behind that charm, Jho Low was expanding his reach. He now controlled networks of offshore companies from Singapore to the British Virgin Islands. He created false invoices, fake joint ventures, and layered transfers so complex that even central banks couldn't follow the trail. From one MDB's first deal alone, more than $1 billion quietly vanished, routed through banks in Switzerland, Luxembourg, and New York. Yet Najib and Rosmah saw only the surface. They saw the headlines. Global partnership success. They saw the praise. Visionary Prime Minister. And they saw Jho Low. Always smiling. Always loyal. Always delivering. They never noticed how much control they'd already surrendered. By the time the first billions disappeared, Jho Low wasn't the young fixer anymore. He was the gatekeeper to Malaysia's money, the man who held the Prime Minister's secrets and the woman's indulgence. He didn't buy the Prime Minister. He bought his family. And now, with Rosmah and Najib fully under his spell, he would take the illusion global, from the palaces of Kuala Lumpur to the red carpets of Hollywood. In Hollywood, nobody asks where the money comes from, as long as it looks like there's plenty of it. And for a few brief years, no one looked richer than Jho Low. He'd arrived on private jets, trailed by entourages, actors, and supermodels. He booked entire nightclubs, bought champagne by the crate, and tipped waiters generously. To the people watching, he wasn't an outsider from Malaysia. He was the mysterious billionaire everyone wanted to know. What no one realized was that the money wasn't his. It belonged to Malaysia. And every party, every yacht, every Hollywood handshake was built on stolen public funds. Jho Low became a living illusion, the man who made corruption look glamorous. He funded The Wolf of Wall Street, a film about greed, deception, and excess, without irony, using the very money he'd stolen. He became friends with Leonardo DiCaprio, donated to his charity, and even bought him a Picasso painting as a gift. He wasn't just spending money, he was buying legitimacy. Each celebrity photo, each red carpet moment was a layer of armor against suspicion. Back in Malaysia, Najib and Rosmah watched the spectacle with pride. To them, Jho Low wasn't a criminal. He was proof that Malaysia could stand among the world's elite. But outside the spotlight, the illusion was cracking. Investigators in Singapore and Switzerland were noticing strange transfers. Journalists began connecting names, yachts, and wire trails. And inside one MDB, auditors were asking questions that no one could answer. The first whispers reached Wall Street. Then, the Wall Street Journal. Then, the FBI. For years, Jho Low had built his empire on confidence. But now, confidence was turning into evidence. The Wolf of Wall Street had made him famous, but it also exposed the one truth he could never hide: that the story he'd sold to the world was the same one he'd sold to a prime minister. And soon, both stories were about to fall apart. It began with whispers, a few missing figures on a balance sheet, transfers that didn't add up, auditors asking for answers that never came. And then the story broke. The Wall Street Journal published the first expose: money traced from one MDB accounts into personal bank accounts connected to Najib Razak. Within months, governments across the world were investigating Malaysia's sovereign wealth fund. The illusion was over. The United States, Switzerland, and Singapore launched probes. Banks were raided. Accounts frozen, luxury assets seized, including a yacht so large it was impossible to hide. Rosma's diamonds became evidence. Riza Aziz's Hollywood studio collapsed overnight, and Najib Razak's entire political empire began to crumble. Through it all, Jho Low stayed silent, but he was already gone. Private jet sightings in Phuket, rumors of safe houses in Macau, a face glimpsed in Shanghai vanishing before cameras arrived. He had built a global network of lawyers, shell companies, and protectors, but no country would admit to sheltering him. Some said he was under China's protection, a bargaining chip in geopolitical games. Others said he was hiding in plain sight, moving between luxury apartments in Hong Kong and the mainland. As Najib's government fell, Jho Low's empire disappeared into smoke. Billions were gone, Malaysia's image shattered. And the man who'd once rented yachts to look rich was now a ghost hunted across continents. The investigators would later say, the 1MDB scandal was one of the largest financial crimes in modern history. Over $4.5 billion stolen. But for Malaysia, the real cost wasn't just money. It was trust. Because the boy who learned to fake millions had fooled everyone, from princes and bankers to a prime minister and his people. He built his fortune on illusion and then vanished into it. When the money was gone and the mansions were quiet, only the truth remained. A truth Malaysia had never wanted to face. Jho Low wasn't a genius financier. He wasn't even a billionaire. He was a mirror, reflecting the greed and vanity of those who wanted to believe in him. Najib Razak sits in prison. Rosma Mansour faces conviction. Riza Aziz lives quietly in Hollywood, his fortune reduced to settlements and silence. And Jho Low, the boy from Penang who fooled a prime minister, is believed to be hiding in Shanghai, protected by the same power that once welcomed Malaysia's stolen billions. For years, governments have demanded his extradition, but every request vanishes into diplomatic fog. No one admits to sheltering him. No one dares to hand him over. Because Jho Low's story stopped being about money a long time ago. It became about power. Who grants it, who abuses it, and who gets away with it. His greatest crime wasn't theft. It was seduction. He understood that the most powerful people aren't hungry for money. They're hungry for recognition, for the illusion of being untouchable. And that's what he sold them. An illusion so perfect that it blinded a nation. He didn't just steal Malaysia's money. He stole its innocence. This was just one chapter in Malaysia's billion-dollar tragedy. But the story isn't over. Every secret Jho Low buried, every betrayal that built this empire, is still unraveling. More videos are now live on Silk Street, and more are coming. Each uncovering a different angle of this scandal, from the corridors of power to the shadows where the money vanished. Watch the full investigation unfolding on this channel. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the next revelation could change everything you thought you knew. I'm John, and this is Silk Street. Power, betrayal, collapse,